All right. No. There we go. Nope.
Okay, great.
All right.
All right, everybody. Well, I hope you're all doing great today. Come on in, Dan. All right. Well, my name is Daniel Tuutau. I'm on the board here with Poplar Grove Community Council, and we're grateful that you all can make it out today. I guess we'll just go ahead and start rolling. We have an agenda that was available online, but you don't need to know it because we'll just tell you what's coming up next. We'd like to, I guess, first acknowledge the board members that are here in the room. We have Karen, Dan Potts, and Marissa, as well as myself, that are here. We have a few people that couldn't make it, including our current chair, Esther Stoll. She had some personal matters that came up, but we're excited for her as well. It's good news. We're going to roll ahead with the first item of business just to get it knocked out of the way. According to our bylaws, every year in March, we have to hold elections. And the elections are for the leadership positions that need to be filled on a rotating basis. This year, currently, we have the two positions coming up are chair and vice chair for the council. And then we have a ratification of an appointee that was made in between. So we sort of have those votes whenever they come around annually. And I guess we'll just go ahead and roll with those. So just we wanted to cover again, just generally who is on the council, who is part of Poplar Grove Community Council is basically anyone that lives or works within the boundaries of Poplar Grove, which go from the 15 on the east to the boundaries of Salt Lakes
On the west.
on the west. Sorry, on the west. I'm going the opposite direction. I'm looking at north. So on the west is no, on the east is a 15.
Yeah, 15.
And then the west is the boundaries of Salt Lake City. So out into the boonies, way out there. On the south, it goes from 9th South
up to
North Temple.
Side of the 9-line trail.
Yeah.
up to North Temple.
And so if you live in those boundaries, whether you know it or not, you're part of the council. And then we have the executive board. So the voting members also, if you don't live within the boundaries, but you have a business or you work within the boundaries, you still are considered part of the team. So
You can vote.
we just wanted to cover that as far as the legalities of who should be voting in these elections, anyone that lives in those areas. Great, you can go to the next. So the first position we have up is the chair. The chair presides over the meetings or can delegate that. They are in charge, basically heads up the executive board, and the executive board consists of a chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer. And there can be up to 12 total members in addition to the executive board on the actual as part of the executive board. I think currently we have like 3, so there's room for lots more.
Yeah, we have plenty of positions.
But as far as the chair position, we only have one person currently running. That is Daniel Tuutau. Woo. Yeah, I know. I think part of the bylaws is that someone from the executive board has to be on the board.
Just
Please.
order here, Robert Rules of Order. So you need to ask for nominations, you need to ask for nominations 3 times from the floor for any one position. Does that make sense?
Great.
Okay, so
So we'd like to ask, are there any nominations from the floor?
Yeah, I nominate you.
I second that nomination.
Yeah.
No.
I second that.
Okay,
you
great.
need to do it 3 times,
All right. Is there?
even though there won't be, you need to do
No,
it.
that's great. Well, we have some new people coming in, so we'll. And we will actually,
Adjust those.
because of our virtual participants, if you could talk out towards that mic, that would be great. Now that a few more people are in, we are just holding nominations for the position of chair of the Poplar Grove Community Council Executive Board. Are there any other nominations from the floor?
First nomination, I made a motion for him.
Daniel Tuotal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you don't need to.
Yep.
All right, third time's a charm. Any nominations from the floor? Thanks for keeping me on the track, because
Thank you for being our parliamentarian.
Okay,
okay.
so now Danny made the motion and that was a second.
Okay.
And now there is discussion. If do you want to say something about, so that people who don't know you, we know you.
Sure,
There's
yeah,
some-
so my name is Daniel Tuutal. I live about half a block from Poplar Grove Park, there on 800 South. I've been a resident of the neighborhood since 2012, so I've been here almost exactly 11 years this month. I got involved in the board last year, and my background is actually in music. I hold a doctorate in vocal performance from the University of Utah. Just closed the production of Rigoletto with Utah Opera this weekend, which was a lot of fun. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just running because
Because he cares.
I care so much, and
He's a really dependable person.
there's a lack of other people running as well. So so that's a pro and a con, for and against me at the same time. Great. So the floor is open. Does anyone else would like to speak against me? No, just
We're all in favor.
All right.
okay. We can keep things rolling then. We did have this online voting as an
Yes.
option because we didn't know how many people would be
Running.
running, as well as how many people would be here in person versus online. Are we able to
We
see?
have a few online. but- Well.
Do we just want to do the yay nay thing? Is that-
Is there anybody?
There's 9 people online because 2 of them are us. So, I could quickly edit this slide and do a yes or no.
Well, there is the poll right there. I mean, we could all
That way.
vote for the position if there was someone else to vote for.
We can,
I could quickly make it yes or no.
Do you want to do that, or do we
Yeah.
want to do a yay or nay?
Well, I'd like to be able to involve our online participants better. So let me just stop sharing really quickly. And let me fix this. Stop that. Thank you, everyone, for your patience.
So if you have a digital device, we'd encourage you to get that out now and get that ready. There's a link. You can either go to slido.com
Yes.
or you can wait until this QR code comes back up and scan the code with your phone.
never been good at that, so we'll type it in.
If you don't have a device and would like to vote, I mean, I have an extra phone you can borrow. We don't want to leave anyone out of the digital divide.
You have Danny to my vote.
I can abstain, but
All right. Save. I'm also gonna just do the same for us really quick.
No,
It's just saving.
on the north side?
It's like between.
So my house is red and white.
It's right.
Oh, yeah, no, I live on 800 South, so my street dead ends at the park, right where the playground is. So if you're at the playground and you look down that street, that's my street right there. And about 4 houses down on the left, sort of a red and white house. Yeah,
I can do English so good.
with a lawn that's nice and green in April and totally dead by June, so.
Okay, we should be just about there. Okay. Is that what's there? Yeah. And I'll share my screen once more.
Over there.
Just about, where's the Zoom meeting? There it is. That one. Sure. This one, share. Okay. We there?
Okay,
Perfect.
there we go.
All right, everybody. Thank you for your patience once again.
So yeah, if you go to slido.com, you could also enter in the numbers
Yeah.
1535003. That's a wave of no's.
Just so against you. Running for Daniel.
You're being difficult there. So did the people online respond or
They have, if you're online, you have the same ability to, they're seeing the same shared slide
okay,
and hopefully hearing us.
I assume no one has said anything about not being able to hear, so I assume everyone can hear. Oh, yep. Looks, the chat confirms it's going well. Okay,
You're welcome, Anne. We're glad that you guys are able to be involved as well.
yes. All right, do you want to give it another few minutes?
Okay, I think we're good, right?
Okay,
Okay, I think I won.
all right.
All right,
All right. everyone.
congratulations. Okay,
congratulations to you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
all right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The next position we have open here is the position of vice chair. The vice chair, I keep moving that. It was blocking the one.
Yeah,
Maybe we can move
it's
it up.
fine.
I could just move it
It's
out
fine.
of the,
Move
we can
it
move it all
right-
the way over
there
here.
you go, they're gone.
You guys don't need to see what we look like up here. Just the role of vice chair in the case that, you know, if I get hit by a bus or something like that, take over the position of chair. The appointment is effective until the next general election. If that is the situation that has to be filled in, and then they would probably be put in charge again. So the current, I guess we'll open the floor to nominations for the role of vice chair. I'll go ahead and nominate the one person who said she wanted to do it was Esther Stoll, who was our former chair before I just took over 3 minutes ago. So that I'd like to put her out as a nominee. Dan Potts there seconds that. Any other nominations from the floor? All right, I think that was kind of like the second time I asked that. So again, are there any other nominations from the floor for the position of vice chair for the Poplar Grove Community Council? Oh, we got a third for Esther. All right.
Perfect. Everyone loves Esther. Oh, yes, thank you, Justin. Yeah, Justin is our current vice chair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Esther will be stepping into his position.
Did we already make a yes, no for her as well while you're at the one? with
I
mine?
did.
Okay, great.
Okay,
All right, so
Alright.
we'll go ahead and vote on that.
all right. If you stay on the same thing.
It's the same code.
Yep, same code. So if you're on the same,
If you had the same page
Yeah,
open, it should
it
actually
should-
just change
should-
now to the
yeah.
new one.
Well, I closed it. so
The
now I
future.
that's okay. Yeah. We are living in the
I'm not
future.
very smart.
There we go. Mhm. Oh,
It's probably Esther.
I don't know.
Well, okay, well, although it was apparently not unanimous, it was by far a
It's definitely-
majority.
yep.
So we'd like to go ahead and congratulate Esther on the role of being vice chair.
All right.
Is she here? Is
I
she
don't-
online?
I don't know if she is.
Okay,
All right.
all right, and then we have two other position or
One other.
position.
Oh, hang on. It didn't. Hang on,
Maybe we
pause
need
share.
to add that in there.
I thought I did, but maybe I didn't. All right, we're gonna stop that. Oh, I need to make sure that that's on the
slide.
slide. I don't know. Do you know? Oh, this is that. Do you know how to make
If you just
the,
add a new slide,
is that a new slide from here? Or,
you just add a new slide and then go to the extension again.
multiple choice or existing polls? This one. Soon. Okay, there we go. Resume share. All right. Nope. I might need to reset. Again, thank you so much for your patience. This is new for me.
Did Esther vote no?
We don't know.
We don't know. We don't know.
They're anonymous vote. That was.
They're completely anonymous votes. We cannot say yes or no. Okay, so we'll let you.
Okay, yeah, we had a position that we had a member of the community that was willing to be involved in the council, Michael Bills, and he was sort of put in by the executive board, but now we're opening this up to ratify that vote. How do we do this with Robert's rules?
You know,
Who is he?
he is, I don't see him online. I don't think he was able to make it this
I
evening.
mean, if he's there, a few words from him would be nice.
Yeah, no, I don't see him online. So I don't think he was able to make it this evening.
Okay,
So Michael Bills was working with Esther on the Friends of the Fisher Mansion. And she was very impressed with him and what he knew. And I don't know, do you guys know anything more?
I've only met him a few times, but he's, eager and willing to help out with the council and just be involved in the community.
Dan?
Well, and, the Fisher Mansion has long been our, as long as Karen and I have been around, the number one priority is for this, community council. So
Great.
well, he isn't present.
No, unfortunately, he's
Quite frankly, we're not really picky at this point about people being on the board. We really need people
Bump it down.
to help us.
but I basically, how do we lock him in? I want to follow the rules. We're gonna be legit here. Do we just,
We could just vote on this one.
okay,
because it's not a executive. board.
okay. So, yeah, go ahead and we'd like to just open that voting, if you are okay with, the appointment of Michael Bills. Or the ratification of his
What
appointment.
is the- Like, what is Poplar Grove City Council Board? Like, how many members are on it? What do they do?
Okay, great. We went over a little bit of that earlier. The community council is. The Poplar Grove Community Council is anyone that lives within the boundaries of the neighborhood of Poplar Grove, which is from the I-15 to the boundaries of Salt Lake City, where it ends out in the middle of nowhere. From the 9 Mile Trail there on 9th South up to North Temple are the boundaries. So if you live within those boundaries, you are a member of the council. The executive board is what we're voting on right now, is the members that we have. The chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, along with other community members that are elected to the board. So
This is for just the board, not executive board.
so Michael is being part of the board in this election here.
By that definition, he doesn't live within the boundaries, but he wants to be.
He lives within the
No,
boundaries.
he has to live within.
He lives within the boundaries.
He does.
He just, instead of just being a regular, like everyone who lives here is a part of the council, they join the board, which we do these meetings along with other types of community events, trying to advocate for our neighborhood.
Cool, sweet.
He's just not present. So.
And it's also just a plug that if anyone else would like to be involved and you live within the boundaries, we would love to have you. Obviously, we are not talking it up super high, but it is kind of fun. There's some
I would like to be a part of it, so that'd be great.
great. Well, your first step is coming here and learning more about it, and we'll maybe we'll have your name up here soon. So I think it's been
I think.
again, once again, not unanimous, but by far the majority.
Pretty close.
So he passes.
Shred.
Okay, great.
Okay. Then,
So are we opening it up to
Yeah.
people wanting to be on the board?
absolutely.
to accept them to be on the board tonight, or
For sure.
were you?
Well, I mean, we can't, is anyone here have any interest in being on the board as of tonight? I would,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Easy peasy. I'll nominate that guy.
I second.
so for those online, we did have one hand. Is that Rick, right?
Yeah, so Ricardo Mejias, I live on.
Do you wanna come just a little bit closer? Just, the camera cuts off about midway through the table, so if you come up, then
Like over here, like
just, yeah, just like right there, yeah.
that.
Yeah, you see her in that little.
Yeah. So hi, Ricardo Mejia. So I live on 600 South, 100 West, and I just want to nominate myself or elect myself for the board. If you guys want.
Where do you live?
6 South and 9th West. Rough area.
We're neighbors.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Where do you live?
Okay.
Yeah, I think like we're all technically neighbors. That's kind of why we're here.
Inside the street is best.
Okay, so
I'm gonna save all of that.
Well, great.
I need to really do,
Delete one. Delete mine.
B-side.
There it is. Okay, one moment, we'll get that up.
I'm on Cherries, West 7.
Right over
That's what I'm talking about. You show up, you don't even know what you just learned about the board 2 minutes ago. Yeah, Jason.
I could be, say she probably be explained, there are others on the board, so they get elected next year, right?
Yes. So, yeah, you're not alone. There are other people that are,
Typically, they try to get, we mostly are interested in re-electing, because
Yes.
you don't want to get a bunch of experience and then lose it. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still.
We also want to get people that want to be on it
Like
too.
a bad
and,
ass.
Force people that don't want to be on it to be on it.
yeah.
So.
Well, that's great. Yeah. And so again, we have Karen and Dan Potts are on the board and Jason is on the board as well.
I'm actually the treasurer right now, so.
So we have, we also have, Derek's still on the board, right?
Derek. I'm not sure.
Okay, but
Brain's not working tonight. Okay. Here we go. Voting for Ricardo Mejias. Is that spelled correctly?
That was great first try. Yeah,
Okay.
you nailed it. Oh, we'll be the only ones to get 100%. You and I.
100%. People voted.
Actually, it's 14. It's new record. 14. Numbers up top.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Oh, nice.
You're popular.
Well, fresh. Happens when you're new.
Can't wait till you hear.
Well, I've been every 2 years.
Okay.
See, you did. Good.
all right. So are there any other nomination? Anyone wants to put themselves forward? Well, so I'm one that's all about rolling the ball forward.
right.
So we thank you for taking that time. I know it's kind of, and
Welcome.
elections are never the most exciting thing, but we only have to do them once a year. So we'd like to go ahead and move on to the next portion of our meeting, which is different types of public agenda items.
I'll
And
get there. I'm struggling a little bit tonight.
you're fine. You'll get that up here. And we do ask that if you're here in person, if you wouldn't mind kind of coming up here so that people online could see you as well as they could hear you kind of in front of that microphone, that would be awesome. So we can go on this list here. We can
Yes,
also work our way around the
I'm
room.
getting there. Okay.
That's fine. I don't have the whole
Here.
list up here anyway, but I guess we'll just start at the top of our list here. Fire department report. Do we have Jesse here? So we'll keep moving on. Detective Oliver.
He was here. There he is.
All right.
Thank you.
Somewhat anyway. Welcome, everybody. How is everybody? Good, I hope. Oh, of course, of course. Any questions, concerns that we should start off with? You're seeing in the neighborhood that need to be. Oh, good, I'm not up on the thing yet. Any issues? Yeah, Jason.
huge camp in the bridge.
Under 7 South, okay,
Really grow.
okay,
And it's on both sides of the trail there, so under the bridge, along the bank, the opposite side of the trail.
in the corner of the fence. Yeah,
And it's just-
okay, I know we've got like Fremont Bridge on an annual cleanup, like weekly cleanup. So I'll see if we can move 7th to that weekly as well.
and then the wall.
Okay, by the,
It's like Jake,
by the is it daycare or school right there?
No, 6 South.
Oh,
It was 6 South.
behind the next bridge behind the police station.
Yeah.
okay.
It's a little steep.
Ah. Okay, I'll go check on that one. Okay, I know our parks will be, the parks officers will be starting up here pretty soon. And they'll be out on the river a lot more. But that's good to know. Yeah,
Question, apparently we took the meeting, and this is my first. council.
double welcome.
Thank you. Yeah. What homeless resources does Poplar Grove offer, or are there other places for our homeless community members to go besides the downtown resources?
So the resources are all tied to the city. So most of the resources are downtown. Andrew's not here. The biggest resource for this,
Andrew is online.
oh, so the biggest resource is our one-time chair, right? Who's now with the city. So I don't know, Andrew, if you want to pipe in on any of those questions.
And you're gone.
So,
He's on mute.
Hi.
so he is the, what?
He's the senior advisor to homelessness.
Yeah.
As far as the PD, we do work with the outreach teams. So if we go into a camp, we'll have the resources coming to them.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily they have to go downtown to get those resources, but we will deliver the resources out to them whenever we go out.
Okay.
So yeah, if he wants to chime in anytime, but that's a good question. Everything is tied down, they're tied to the resource centers.
Okay.
And they do have mobile teams. So
Okay.
is that about correct?
That's right. It's a very individualized approach. So it's not an all blanket, and we work with different municipalities, government agencies such as the state, county, and health department, DA's office to try to filter through and encapsulate. So the analogy that we've kind of heard or listened to is you're capturing different filters to try to get people in the housing or in the society, depending on where their need is exactly.
Also working.
Awesome.
Salvation.
Yeah. Oh, and just in his defense, Andrew texted saying that his Zoom isn't working well. He's getting the spinning wheel of death, so he couldn't find it.
It's like 3 months of us.
Yes.
So, yeah, good questions. Anything else that you're seeing? The river's always been kind of a hot spot on the west side. So that will continue to be something we'll try and focus on. We do have a west side squad specifically for, they're usually on bikes. It's been terrible weather lately, so they haven't been able to get out on bikes. But yeah, that's kind of their focus. And it will be more as these officers come on to the parks department. We also have a parks, what are they called? The Rangers. Yeah, the Rangers do the same thing on the river. Minus the law enforcement aspect, but they will tend to get resources to those people as well. Yeah. I need your sunglasses, because then it could be really incognito.
I can see a whole lot better. So.
Yeah, that's why I'm gonna-
You know, on Fort South, that crossing there is much safer now than it has been, but that's probably other reasons too. But now, because it's safer, the peacocks, the peafowl hens are going across Fort South, so I'm worried about getting hit with them. So they're kind of our,
They're our neighbor.
It's the mascot, right?
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's crazy.
So have you seen an increase or decrease in truck traffic? Because we did kind of put a, okay, good.
30% increase.
Okay, because trucks are, it's ordinance that they're not supposed to be traveling on
Yeah.
on 4 South. So we were able to talk to UHP and they were able to help us a lot on that. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll see that.
I haven't been hit by any police officers.
Well, now you can see, now you can get me
Right.
the chief asks me every time he sees me about you, just so you know. All right, so now I gotta find my numbers. So if we just want to go through some real stats, unless anybody else has any questions. Real quick numbers. The numbers for the city are, I'm gonna knock on wood because they're looking really good right now. Of course, we're in March now, and so for District 2 alone, and a lot of this will have to do with the North Temple area because we are on the south side of the North Temple area. But for the last 28 days, we haven't seen no homicides, which is fantastic. That's always what we want to see. But we've only seen 1 rape in the last 28 days, 1 robbery, 6 aggravated assaults, and 6 non-family aggravated assaults. So 14 violent crimes in District 2.
That's kind of percent, I don't know, so that's
Is
like
that low?
That's
way up.
really, yes. So if we do a 5-year average, we are down in all those, like for let me see, I'm getting old, I can't even see anymore. Robberies, we're down 71% for a 5-year average. That's ridiculous. I mean, that's great.
Is that based on months, like are you comparing the data like
To today.
to the today? right?
Yeah.
like,
So we still have, we
historical
still have,
data, yeah,
yes.
it's
So-
not March to March, so forth.
Correct.
Not going like, well, 2020.
No.
Like.
No,
early
so
months in of this month.
right, up to today's date is what we're seeing. We're seeing a 63% decrease also in just robbery, other robberies, not business robberies. So for total violent crimes, we're down 17.5% year for a 5-year average, which is still a great number. For non-violent crimes, we are down 25.6%. And those violent crimes are just property crimes. You got your burglaries, you got your larcenies, your motor thefts and vehicle thefts. So those are all down. I'm gonna knock on wood. The only thing that is up is, and it's only 2, is the residential burglaries. So we have seen an increase in residential burglaries over the last year to date. So that's just up to this point compared to last year to this point. So yeah, it's looking good. Total crimes we've seen in year to date, we've had 414 total crimes in District 2. And that's, that's low percentage wise for the city. It's not the lowest because it's a good number we'd like to see continue to drop. And a good note here, we did have a pretty good, and I can't find it now. Oh, we had significant arrests on North Temple. North Temple is on the northern border. In a matter of 1 hour, there were 8 arrests for drugs. So that was from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. So, normal, I'm still asleep, I think, at that time. So they were hitting from 8th West to 1700 West on North Temple. But I think the majority of those were between 8th and 1000 West.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks.
So that's a good, the bike squad and those guys are hitting that hard. So that's a good thing. Yeah. Any questions that bring anything up? Yeah.
When was the precinct on one before?
So we've had some meetings in there already, but it's not officially opened yet. They're still looking to put some screens up in the windows so you can see out, but they can't see in, and some to furnish it. But yeah, we are putting in not a precinct, it's a substation on North Temple between 8th and 9th West. Great place for it. And it's going to be a nice little spot for the bikes and for anybody else. It's going to be more of a community oriented facility. So if you guys want to have a meeting there, since it is in Poplar Grove, you're more than welcome to come down and have a Poplar Grove meeting. Yes, yep, it will be. Yeah.
I'm still curious if this stat is kept up. Is there a stat that can say how much of the crime is connected to homelessness?
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
I don't necessarily have that stat. I don't know that we follow it because,
So
yeah, because homelessness is,
it's hard to tie that to because there are people, all the protection background,
Right.
just because you're in shelter, you try not to do that. Exactly for this.
Well, and politically, it's not right.
Yeah.
But I
There's just nothing that's going to have to. You don't back up.
yeah, it's,
or how-
I always like to say homeless isn't a crime. So we can't really quantify that as an issue, but
Can you quantify how many people take advantage of people?
Yeah, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
I mean, I see this all the time on the parkway, and there's a difference between people experiencing homelessness and people on the parkway who people say are homeless, but they may not be. So I mean, I think there's a way we need to figure out how to quantify that, because I think people mix those two things up.
Yeah, because.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If there was a big camp in the park near Glendale Park, near Glendale. It had escalated to the point where people would drive up the cul-de-sac or park on Indiana, walk over to the camp and hang out and leave in their car, right? Which is weird behavior.
Yeah.
Right, so you know something's questionable there, and they're just feeding the beast.
We saw that really bad when Rio Grande was active, right? There was a lot of people on Rio Grande. And how many of those were actually unsheltered or homeless
Right.
compared to the ones that were just using that shelter to hide, or that location to hide. So yeah, it's hard to answer. Yeah, I'm done. Unless anybody else has anything else. Sweet.
Thank you. Session's over, so I'm alive.
I hug you, man.
So for those that don't know me, if you're new to the community council or new to the neighborhood, my name is Angela Romero, and I am I serve in the Utah House of Representatives. I represent House District 25, and I split the neighborhood Poplar Grove with Representative Sandra Hollins. And so if you live north of Fifth South, you belong to Sandra in her district, and if you live south of Fifth South, you are part of my district, and I represent all of Glendale. Senator Luz Escamilla and Senator Jennifer Plum also represent this neighborhood. So it's just really interesting because of how we gerrymandered some of our districts. Like I actually have like 4 senators in my House district, which is odd when you really look at the scheme of things. But just for those of you who don't know me, I am also the minority leader of the House Democrats. And I'm the only second woman to lead our caucus, when our caucus has primarily been majority women. And so it was a huge success that way. And myself and Senator Escamilla were the first women of color and first women of color to ever be elected to lead our caucuses. So I think that was a major accomplishment. And we both oversee, all our leadership members are women. And so this session was an interesting session. It was a session, like the speaker points out, unlike any session. I just don't agree with the storyline from there. And so we saw a lot of things happen. We saw a lot of different communities that I represent and that many of us are part of targeted by the legislature. So it was really disappointing that way. And I can talk about those issues, or I can talk to you on the side because I've been talking about them forever. And I really want to focus on some of our accomplishments because it's so easy to paint all of those other things, and not saying that we don't have to work on them, but I also want to talk about some of the accomplishments I did, as well as Senator Escamilla and Representative Hollins. And Representative Hollins can't be here today. She's on her way to St. George for work, and Senator Escamilla is still at the Capitol, and Senator Plum is also doing community work. And so one of the main things I passed that I was really proud of wasn't necessarily a bill. It was an appropriation request. I was able to get small dollars to us, $150,000, but a lot of money to Rough Haven, which is a local nonprofit that houses or finds foster families for pets, for people who are experiencing homelessness or people trying to leave a domestic violence situation. And so it's a really important thing, because we found out when I ran a bill last session to include pets in protective orders, a lot of individuals won't leave their abuser because they don't want to leave their pet. Or we've seen a lot of their pets murdered because that's the form of power and control. So although it was a small request and it wasn't a lot of money, that's probably the thing I'm most proud of what I was able to pass as a legislator. I also renewed the Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women and Girl Task Force, but we're now calling it Murdered and Missing Indigenous Relatives, because that was a request by our tribal communities, and I'm still the co-chair of that. And did a few, I did a dating app bill. I'm working with Dr. Julie Valentine, who is an expert on sexual assault nationally, actually globally. And so this is our first attempt at looking at dating apps, because her research found that people that use dating apps when it comes to sexual assault, they're much more violent. We've actually seen men become more victims of sexual assault. So she's doing some really cutting edge research. And so we're going to kind of continue to look at that and look at policy that impacts that. Senator Escamilla also ran legislation this year to cover all kids. And so in our neighborhoods in particular, we have families that are mixed status. Some people are citizens, some people aren't. But when it comes to children, I think every child deserves health care. And so her bill provides healthcare to children of mixed status families. So all children can be covered by healthcare. So we'll see how that bill goes. And she also was able to get a clinic funded in West High School. So West High School will actually have a full range clinic that helps people with mental health, with physical health and everything. So that was really exciting to see. And Representative Hollins was also able to get a sickle cell bill passed. So she wants to look at how that impacts particularly our African-American community. So overall, like, even though we didn't get everything we wanted, or we saw some things that we didn't agree with passed, we did have some wins, and I want to focus on those wins as a whole. And that's really it. I'm going to DC in 2 more weeks. I passed a resolution about 4 years ago on genocide in Rwanda. And so the ambassador of Rwanda reached out to me and she asked me if I'd be the keynote at one of their commemorations of the 1994 massacre of Tutsi in Rwanda. So I thought that was something to brag about. But I'm open to questions or concerns, or I can always take those offline as well. But
I would just like to say thank you for the roughing thing. I know, but just a few weeks ago, we had some Salvation Army, they needed medical treatment, but didn't want to give up their dog. And within just a couple of hours, I was able to take the animal to Raphael. From reporting, the lady went to the hospital, was there for a few days, but back and picked up the dog. So thank you
yeah,
so
and they
much.
find foster families. So if anyone's interested in being a foster family, talk to one of us, we can connect you. And another thing I didn't mention, which I felt like we should have given more money to, was to domestic violence, sexual assault. In particular, we have several bills and appropriation requests on that. And we just, as we are seeing people experiencing homelessness, we're also seeing people trying to leave certain situations, but there's not enough housing for people trying to leave abusive situations. And we don't have enough money to address a lot of issues, especially when we're talking about our homeless population, sexual assault, people reporting. And so that's something I'll continue to work on. I've been working with Lieutenant Governor, actually our mayor, on this issue, and our Salt Lake Mike Brown, who's our police chief. And so those are some things that I'll continue to work on. So those are kind of my areas of expertise. If you want to talk to water, I will refer you to someone, which I have with Larry. And if you have questions about some of the education bills that passed, which were, I felt like a huge attack on public education, even though we gave teachers this huge raise, we were given $8,000 to homeschool and to private schools out of public school funding. And the other thing you'll see on the ballot, and this is why I probably want to put this on record as House Democrats and Senate Democrats voted no, is if we wanted to cut the sales tax on food, we want to increase who doesn't get taxed on to 75,000 if you have Social Security. If you make more than 75,000, if you make under 75,000, you won't get taxed. If you vote for that, because it's going to be put on the ballot as get rid of the sales food tax, you're also voting to get rid of the earmark on education. So I want people to be very careful when they vote and think about, we already don't do enough for education. Yeah, we did some historical moves here, but is that really going to, do we really want that earmark, that special? And we're one of 2 states that does that, to go to other projects when we should be focusing on public education. So when that comes before the ballot, I wanted people to know why we voted no on that, because it had everything to do with like, well, if you want this and you have to do this. And I just don't think that's really honest public policy. Yeah, that's it. If you want to talk about some stuff more, I'm always here on the side.
So if that gets passed, where will the stream replace that funding for education?
Well, within the way they wrote the piece of legislation, they're saying that the funding will still be there. But again, it's all about wording. And so I think this would be a good opportunity, because I don't bring my notes to talk about detail, but if we want to do a community council meeting, even jointly with just the West Side all the different community councils. We can bring our staff from the legislature. We can do more of these things where we can educate everyone on what kind of water policy bills passed as you're interested in, and what does that have, but also I think this bill is very tricky. Like, what does that mean? And for people to ask these serious questions about, well, like, okay, so we get rid of the earmark, and you're saying it's all going to be focused on our schools based on inflation and all of this stuff, but what happens when you want to build roads? So I think these are really important questions that I think I'm not an expert in, and I'm not claimed to be an expert. So I think this is something we could do as a community council with some of our other community councils and talk about the educational earmark and have staff from the legislature here and have the Utah Education Association over here, because this is going to be on our ballots in 2024. And I think people really need to think twice before they just say, oh yeah, this looks good. Get rid of sales tax on food, but at what expense? Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, there's the camera. Hola, saludos a todos. Congratulations to you. Will you let me know if anyone needs translation in Spanish? I don't want to assume, but if you do, or if anyone here, just raise your hand. My name's Ava Lopez. I'm your community liaison in District 2. I also serve in District 4. I did want to share my information in case you don't have it. My phone number is 385-479-1410, and my email is eva.lopez@slcgov.com. I'm wearing my Utes regalia really because it is in my sweatshirt because our women's basketball team is number 2 right now in the nation, is my understanding. So we kicked them off. They're off to the NCAA tournaments in North Carolina playing Louisiana. So good luck to them. It was really cool to see that. It's I think people forget, like, we have really awesome women's sports teams here in town. So it's really great. I did want to share with everyone, April 22nd, our Love Your Block team has a really great cleanup happening. So there's about over 20 volunteer projects happening all around Jordan River, specifically in Glendale and Poplar Grove. If you want more information, I'm happy to pass on that link. You can go to our city website to find that. I'll be there along with my colleagues. It's a really great opportunity to help clean up. You can come by with us. We'll be in the river, around the river, different parks, Three Creeks confluence, lots of different areas all over town. I wanted to share also, there's been a lot of different funding happening around town with the RDA, but specifically we had $1.34 million loan given to help Colony B. So this is the project that opened up on 228 West, 1300 South. This is really cool because 106 units fall underneath 60% AMI. That's the average medium income. So some of these units, I was looking it up to double check, but they're falling around $600 to $800 a month. And then they do have market rate on top of that. So again, adding to our housing and different rental units. I myself am a renter, so it's super important that we have options. Lots of people that need this space. And we had 10 new Love Your Block grants funded specifically in this neighborhood. So Daniel, I know you can speak to that. You applied for one previously and got those banners placed and revealed. So if you haven't seen the banners, remind me. Yeah, so all enforcement. And that's just the beginning, right? So lots more to come, not just banners, but you can apply for different projects. And these are community-led projects that are city funded. So again, putting money in the hands of residents like yourselves, where you can decide and not just have the city step in, but you decide how you combat blight. That's kind of the priority for these types of grants. We do have ARPA funds. So this is really important that I wanted to share with everyone. $1 million funded 42 small businesses in Salt Lake City, prioritizing locally owned and diverse owned businesses. But our second phase just opened up this Monday. So if you're someone that's an artist, a nonprofit, or a local business, you can apply up until April 18th for the second round of ARPA funding. And then this will be the total amount of funds that we receive from the federal government. These are really great opportunities to apply for. Again, I can pass on that link and we can share it out to everyone. And we have our outdoor dining grant available. Super important way to get economic diversity flowing in your neighborhood. You know, again, of a restaurant or somebody in the retail space, they can apply for an encroachment permit, and then this grant allows them to get those opportunities here. That's what I've got for you today. Any questions, anything? No? Okay, well, that's all right. All right, thanks.
Right, yeah, just make sure the online people can see me too. So, it looks like we don't have Alejandro here tonight. I'm pretty sure he was having like a big birthday party thing going on right now. right now over nearby. So let's wrap this up quick. Sorensen Center, do we have anyone here? Did you want to report or just? I think we had Katie Lopez on here, but Cody, sorry, not Katie. It's small on my phone.
Their big end of the year celebration. I also work for the city, so my city hat on. And I used to oversee the community center for years. They have their end of the year celebration for their after school program. So if anyone wants to go check that out, there's a big art like display the students are gonna do from 4 to 6. It'll be really fun.
Yeah, this is gonna be this coming Friday.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really.
Okay,
pretty.
this Friday is a big event there, so check that out at the Sorensen Center.
I just want to add that, in case you don't know, the Sorensen is offering, classes for citizenship on Thursdays.
Oh, is that it? Or did you?
That's it.
Okay.
On Thursday.
Citizenship classes on Thursdays there at the Sorensen Center. So if you're interested in there, check it out. Awesome. Great. Do we have Jake here? Is that Jake? Yeah, come on, take the floor from Neighborhood House.
Yeah, I'll be quick. So on June 16th, we have an open event to the public, the summer celebration, celebrating all of our families and also the beginning of summer. So keep that in your calendars. June 16th, I'll be coming out with more information. And then we also have our annual fundraising event on September 16th, and that'll be the annual tent party. So that's our largest fundraising event, and that too is open to the public. So stay tuned for more details, and thank you for your time.
We have Dave here from Neighborhood Works.
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, so with NeighborWorks, we got a lot of good stuff happening right now. The first thing I want to talk about is we are recruiting for our spring cohort for YouthWorks. Not sure if you guys all know what YouthWorks is, but it's a professional development program. They earn up to $100 a week doing it. We teach them leadership, communication skills, and we do a lot of work on community and revitalization projects out in the community. The next thing I want to talk about is we're starting to recruit and try to find houses for our annual Paint Your Heart Out. And so it's in the planning stages right now. So if you know somebody that might have a home that could use a fresh facelift with some new paint on it, you can reach out to us and apply for it. And what we do is we try to, find anywhere from 12 to 18 houses every year, and we paint those for free. We bring teams to do that. We supply all the supplies. We take care of everything. So, and we're starting to take applications for that. And that is set up for August 12th. So if you know somebody, a neighbor or a friend, or you see somebody driving down your street that could use something like that, then please reach out to us, get an application for it. We have applications online. The other thing I want to talk about is we got a lot of good things happening with financial coaching and those kind of workshops, helping people with debt management, IDAs and credit gazelles. And so we have a new team of people that are helping people to figure all that out, and even do like some matching funds if you get into one of our programs. And then the last thing I want to talk about is our down payment assistance program. You can earn up to $50,000 towards the purchase of your new home, and then with 0 interest in payments. We have a bunch of home improvement money that we can help you out with, such like grants and loans with 0 or low interest payments, and construction project management. I oversee that, the projects and stuff like that. And then we have home ownership counseling that we're doing. So we do, like I said, we do have some grant money and some dollars that we're trying to help people out with. So if you know somebody that could use something, a roof, or needs some kind of a rehab on their home, we're trying to get the word out there we want to help you guys. So that's all I have.
All right, thanks so much. Appreciate that. NeighborWorks does a lot of great work around our neighborhood, especially on the west side, and we appreciate all the work that they do. Great. I think we've made it through our normal monthly public agenda items. Sorry. And so we just have a couple more announcements, sort of council stuff. Do you want to share again? All right. All right, I'll kind of be in front of some of you and not all of you. So we just want to mention this open mic event that's going on. It's just community driven. Utah Slim, who's a local performer, is kind of spearheading that. They're holding the events on Sunday evenings. As you can see on here, it sort of just depends on which Sunday of the month, what kind of events they have going on. But it's at the Sugar Space. Our Arts Warehouse, which is just right off of just north of 200 South, there, right next to the freeway. Big construction going up right next to the building there. But we just want to make sure we get the word out there, looking for performers or attendees as well. It's a great time to go and sort of support local talent. So it's free and open to the public. So feel free to check that out. Oh yeah, this is what Ava had mentioned earlier, the Jordan River Trail event going on. Sure. We'll also maybe email out the slides as well.
Oh, yeah, that would be great then. Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah, those areas are the ones that are in conflict, you can sign up to see them, but if you want to.
So if you go to stewardship.slc.gov, it has a listing of all the different events individually listed out there. So feel free to. Okay, so you have to register and then show up after registering. All right. A great way to connect with the neighborhood. There's also, the deadline's coming up pretty soon on March 31st, but if I think I'm still on the screen here, so you guys can see that and me. So there's that big wall that goes along the Folsom Trail there, which if you don't familiar with the Folsom Trail, it runs parallel to North Temple. And basically it was just an old railroad track that they've converted into a trail. The plans are as well to daylight some of the river coming through there as well. There's a lot of plans. I mean, the plans have been, those that live here, the plans have been in works for like 20 years, but it feels like it's getting closer. And part of that is a commission to create a huge mural, which is pretty cool. So if you know of any artists, they have another week and a half or so to try to put that together. We'll put this all on available and we'll send out a recap. So if you haven't signed up for our email list or online, if you want to drop your information into the chat, we'll make sure we'll get you sort of a recap of this meeting as well. And next up, Empanada Fest. Yeah, I can't complain about that. So it'll be April 8th. That's just right there at the Square Kitchen, which is right across from Welfare Square there on 800 South. And so I know any local events, it's good to support that.
Yeah.
And then yeah. Oh, okay, good. It's like, oh, this is good news to me as well. Yeah. So Saturday, April 29th, I think we'll have another meeting between here and there. But feel free to throw it on there. The Fair Park Family Learning Center is having a community health and wellness day. So it's not directly within our boundaries, but it's close enough that they're still, cousins. And then there is, I think she might be coming a little bit later. But we might during the public portion might have, if you have more questions about this, she was theoretically coming right now to, I guess we throw this on early, but they're doing this air filter exchange program. They're trying to see how to improve the air on the west side. And so they're contacting all the different communities on the west side to basically kind of like running a test in your home. So if you'd like this to happen, they'd be running a test in your home and giving you some free air filters to sort of see how the air quality is improved by doing that. They're looking for about 4 to 6 from our neighborhood here. The sign up date is by the end of this month as well. So if you have at all any interest, we can get you all this information as well, or you can just talk to us individually, or someone will be here probably at the end of the meeting. Possibly you can mention that during the public section, but that's just going on as well. And I think that's it for public comments. Now we have, presentation. And if you want to just stay in that region.
Yeah.
Can you bring up a map by chance so we can look at just Google Maps or whatever, so we can look at what we do? Yeah. The reason why I'm here, I'm an attorney. My name is Brent Bateman. I'm going to apply to Salt Lake City to abandon a little bit of road. And whenever we do that, I don't know how often that happens here, but whenever we do that, the city wants us to come to the community council meetings and talk about it and see if there's any concerns. I'll be surprised if there's any concerns, but if there are, definitely we want to hear about it. And if we can bring up the map, we'll definitely show you the road. But whilst you're doing that, I'd also just like to quickly say that this meeting has been a delight. I mean, my entire legal career has been dealing with local governments. And that's all I do. And I've been to a lot of meetings like this and like city council meetings and stuff like that. And this meeting has been downright inspiring. It's like, you know, it really has. I mean, so right there, the road is right there. So it's 5600, 700 south, 5600 west. Yeah. Anyway, I just am so inspired when I see people who who care about the community come out to meetings like this, want to be involved on the board, and all the things that police and Representative Romero said has just been wonderful. You're in West Valley. So we're right here. This is it right here. Yep. Zoom right in. Get right in close there if you can. You're doing great. Yeah, that'd be nice. Okay, so my client is this community business right here, Barco Rent-A-Truck. And 700 West has gone out through here and crossed across 5600 forever. And 5600 has gone through here and crossed over the Union Pacific Railroad tracks forever. And that has recently changed. I don't know if you've been out there for a while. But the idea is we're no longer going to be crossing the Union Pacific Railroad tracks. So they have built this large 5600 West, and it has a giant overpass that crosses over the railroad tracks, right? And they have closed 5600 West right here. And as a matter of fact, UDOT has abandoned this road, this 5600 West. They did do it at our request. We asked them to abandon it. They were delighted because they didn't want anything to do with it anymore, right? And when they abandoned it, they sort of turned it over to the local owners, okay? We are going to request that the 700 West be abandoned through here, okay? That's old 700 West. This is the new 700 West, and it comes up and it intersects right here. This part of 700 West, which is formerly used, has already been abandoned, okay? And we're going to request that this also be abandoned right there. I represent the owner right here and right here on both sides of 700 West. And when a road is abandoned, the ownership of that road goes to the adjoining landowners. So that road will become property of the adjoining landowners, and more importantly, the responsibility of the adjoining landowners. I don't know if you've, I'm sure you haven't, because the only reason to go out here is to visit my client's business. That's the only thing that 700 West serves now, okay? So I'm sure you haven't been there, but the city has forgotten that poor road. It is a mess. It's a disaster. In the last 18 months since they've built this, I've had to call the city multiple times to ask them to come and fix stuff, or to report, massive holes, or to have them come and plow. They haven't even remembered to plow, leaving my poor client, kind of in a bad situation. So that's why we're going to ask for this. Now, we have sent notices to all the people in this area, letting them know we're about to apply for abandonment. The only one we've heard back from is Verizon's right here. And they've let us know that they have utilities buried under the ground right there. We are in discussions with them. We are going to grant them a permanent easement so their utilities can stay there. We are never going to build on this road. It will probably be part of a parking lot, but it will always be a passageway. But the point is that we will be able to take care of it. We'll be able to use it for our purposes, and it won't be a burden on the city anymore. It's as simple as that. So my job to come and discuss that with you and see if you have any
What do
concerns.
you mean by burden on the city? If they forgot about a housing burden, why don't you just take care of it? Responsible for it.
Because it's their road, it's actually a city road and it's a public road and they have by law a responsibility to take care of it. And especially when that's the only way to access, you know, a business there, right, on the public road. And so,
If you gain control of it, what can you do with that road? Like.
Turn it into a parking lot.
So he said.
yeah,
Either the road
Then
goes
you
to the.
plow.
You're not letting property more besides just like them turning into a parking, right? Like I don't want, it's private property at some point and then people can't access roads because you guys decided just like put a gate up. There's like multiple things that for like foresight that I would like to first know more about
sure.
before you start just like giving businesses more control of land. And privatizing public space, like at this point, why don't you just like, if you already don't like how disarrayed is, why don't you just contact the city more?
We do. We've contacted the city
That
plenty.
seems like-
The city doesn't want to. That's why the city hasn't sent plows and stuff like that out there, right?
Kind of like an abatement for an alleyway.
It's exactly what it is. This is the request to abandon an alleyway.
Yep.
This is exactly what it is.
Yep, and it reduces crime and a variety of other things.
And already because of Verizon and because of their utilities in the road, and this is also Verizon's emergency exit. Verizon's main access is
You
for
can
Shea
reduce
right here.
crime by having cameras that we call the police. That's also an easy solution rather than just giving up.
You know, that's not Poplar Road.
Yeah,
Poplar goes out.
You go, Park goes way out. Way out.
Is that the access for your client? Is that how they enter?
Well, no,
Yeah.
never mind.
That's how my client gets to his property.
And are they currently being impeded from entering the property?
No, not really. They're not being impeded. It's just that this whole road, my client would like to use this road, right? And to use this for his property, combine it with this stuff across here, but it will always be a road. It will always be some kind of access way, okay?
So how much land are they actually giving freebie in that area?
So
This
it's
is
not,
a freebie. How
it's,
much land is it?
it's, you know, it's a usual size road. I think it's probably 45 feet wide.
Probably
Something
not
like
even
that.
that wide, yeah. And
Something
then they
like that.
cut it in two.
Yeah. What's that?
If it's vacated, if you're paying anything to the city.
That could happen. It almost always does not, okay? Cities and counties, abandon roads all the time,
Sure.
right?
I have.
And under the law, in the state, under the law, and this was always happens under the law, whenever you abandon a road, you draw a line down the middle of the road and the owners on each side gain ownership of that road.
Yeah, like there's.
You know,
We can plan it, yeah. Yeah, I feel like gaining public space is just like, as a millennial component, infuriating, absolutely not.
I can't help what the law says. I mean, this has been the law forever, and we're not trying to pull a fast one on anybody. We are the only ones that use that road. UDOT has already abandoned this.
Just as Verizon's looking, Verizon's.
It's an illegible map from my point of view, so I don't really know what you're talking about.
An illegible map.
Yeah. I'm not really sure where it is. Now it's getting,
Okay.
more in the focus, the before.
So this is 700 West, right? So we are like here. I mean, this is 5600 West. It's way out there on the left, on the west
So you're
side.
talking about a dead end.
No one lives here.
We're talking about 56 West and 700 West.
5600 north,
Yeah,
5600 West, 700 south, I'm sorry.
Feel good you're selling this crap. I mean, I try to figure out what you're talking about. You're talking about 5600 West, and then you're talking about 700 South, and it just doesn't make sense.
How can I help make sense?
You could have made sense by talking, first having.
Can I ask you a question? So I'm gonna assume that you said it's gonna always be an access road of some kind for the
Yeah.
business.
Not if they abate it.
Is it zoned as an access road at the moment, but will it automatically adopt zoning for your business? if you're fine?
It would automatically adopt the zoning that's in place out here.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, roads don't have zoning separate from the community out there.
Okay.
The main point is that because this has been cut off permanently UDOT, because this has been abandoned, and because this road now goes out to here. Nobody uses this road unless they're coming to visit my client, and it's causing my client some problems.
But if you wanted to visit, you could, if it's public.
Yeah.
Or you can visit.
Also, how's it causing?
Just to sort of recap what's going on here is the decision. The final decision is made by the city council.
Right.
So and this process of abating land happens all the time. Usually in our neighborhoods, it's happening in the alleyways.
Yep.
Because we have approximately 150 miles of alleyways within our city. So many of the alleyways are in a condition, and actually they're not used. And so what happens is that this process happens very frequently where an alleyway is closed.
So if you want to make a public comment, you have to comment to the city council.
So the decision isn't made here, but part of the requirements is they come to the city council, so the community council first to let us know what's going on. And then from here, the decision is actually made there. So that's just the due diligence, is that process of coming and letting us know. So if you feel really strongly that this shouldn't happen, which again happens almost weekly across our neighborhoods. Because yeah, and I've actually seen, well, anyways, you're welcome to show up to the actual meetings where the decisions are made. So if you have specific questions, these are great to ask the questions so that you can be better informed for the next meeting. But I'm just mentioning that roasting him won't help us here. You got to roast him over there.
Is there a timeline as to when the decision is going to be made?
So we're gonna be making an application in the next few days. The city will process that application and the engineering will look at it and everything. And then they'll schedule it for city council meeting. I don't know when.
I thought we were meeting, so we could have an advance on city council, so we could tell city council. Yeah, so I want to have a printout of what's going to apply, go right to the city council.
Right.
And I want maps, I'm going to print out this stuff, so I can go look at it. To see what's going on, you know, be informed. I don't want to be left out in the dark by some vague map. You can't really look into the detail.
100%.
I don't know how to get a better map of detail, but
It's a good job.
okay.
You know, it's not asking that much.
Dr. Karen, do you want to do something?
Just as information, so the city sends to the recognized community organizations of the city notice of things that goes on like this. And when we get the notice for this particular petition, we will send that out to the community. And I don't know when we'll get that. Have we, I don't think we've received this.
No.
We haven't.
Well, he
received
said
it.
they haven't applied.
We haven't applied yet.
Yeah.
We have to do this before applying.
So
Basically, appreciate you getting ahead of the curve. And also on that same note, you know, if I'm gonna look around places to, create crimes and scope things out, that's a perfect kind of road to do that. And so that's so that's partly the reason why that lots of alleys are being decommissioned, because a lot of us get really tired of being, roughed, by people scoping us out down alleys.
Well, this is also like way out.
No.
Like there's no one nearby.
Nobody lives within a long way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Get this time out there that I recorded, please. That was a lot of money.
I am sorry that you've got the impression I'm trying to sell you a bill of goods.
No,
I'm not.
no.
And if you ever want to build a trail, if you ever want to build a train, you never know when.
Well, no, you can get an easement.
Maybe.
Well,
If they allow it.
That's like, there's like 200 yards.
They'll think they can get that in 5 hours. Now we're trying to call that back.
So, were there any specific questions again about this particular location? I mean, I get, we get the feeling of not wanting to let up any public land.
Some of us don't, and it's okay to think that way.
Yeah.
It is.
Which is fine. I'm just, I mean, were there any other specific questions about this location or this project? Cool. Well, if you do, once the application comes in, again, we try to make that as public as possible. There is that the hearings are held on a very frequent If you'd like to get onto the mailing list, we can also get you the information because
That would be great.
I mean, again, they make decisions across the whole of Salt Lake City. And so there are a lot of things that are discussed on these meetings each time. And so,
The more accessible, the better. I mean,
And also the application will require a map, so we're good.
so yeah, each application has all those details in it. Just the first step is to make sure that we know. And again, to educate some of us here that that's still our neighborhood. Poplar Grove goes way out there. Just, we usually don't have anyone representing because no one lives really west of Redwood Road.
Yeah.
So we think, oh, that's not part, but that's still technically our neighborhood goes way out there.
No, we watched that. So is it ended, what's it called?
City boundaries,
All the way to the Salt Lake almost?
basic, almost.
Almost, yeah.
You guys, as a community council, do you know what's going on here? On this parcel, this is all property reserve. It's owned by the LDS Church. And there's been a whole lot of grading and activity there. Any idea what that is? What that's about?
No. So.
I'm sure it's important stuff.
It'll. Cool. Well,
Thank you.
thank you so much for that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to get that. But yeah, that's how the process is.
Great, awesome. So that was our main public presentation that had been scheduled beforehand. Next month, we got like a ton of them, so just, heads up. Well, we do want to open up to some public comment. Actually, we mentioned it earlier, but Piper, did you want to just kind of elaborate on your, we had a little, we showed a picture of the flyer and I said you'd be here in a second to talk about it. So the floor is yours.
Right on time. Is there a mic or should I just? Okay, cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Piper Christian. I'm a researcher at the University of Utah. And we currently, so a little bit of background about myself. I grew up in Utah. I currently live in Salt Lake. And last fall, we partnered with Representative Angela Romero and Dr. Daniel Mendoza, who's an air quality researcher at University of Utah. And then partnered with the Glendale Library. And through that process, we provided 20 do-it-yourself air purifiers. So these are low-cost air purifiers to Glendale community members. And so the interest there was that there's, trying to provide new resources to the community to address air pollution in this area. And we noticed that there was a lot of interest in providing access to clean air, especially indoors. So we're currently working on a program that is a kind of a continuation of that based on the community's interest in this kind of thing. So what this entails is this April, we are running a program where we are providing free air filters in families' homes. So I did not know this before participating in the program, but it's expected that you change your air filter roughly every 3 months, which can be hard to remember, but changing your air filter regularly can improve indoor air quality by up to 65%. And the air filters that we are offering are MERV 11. So those are the highest quality air filters that you can have in your home. Higher quality than that would literally not work with HVAC systems because they're so good at filtering. So the purpose of this is that we can provide this helpful community resource. And in addition to that, we are interested in being able to get an understanding of what indoor air quality is looking like in homes. So if you sign up for the program, we will we cover the cost of the HVAC technician to come to your home and change out the filter for you. We'll show you how to do it and provide a flyer with some information about air quality. And then we'll provide 2 backup MERV 11 air filters for you to change in the future. All of this is provided to you free of cost. So all you need to do is I have this handy form. And so tonight I have just a sign up form. If you're interested in receiving free air filters, come to me after. I'll just be over here and I'll get your contact information. And also if you know of family members or friends who live in specifically the 84104 or 84116 zip codes, if you can think of people who you think would be interested, then spread the word about this and feel free to take flyers and recruit some friends. So any questions about the program? Yeah.
The thing with the HVAC, the truth is air filters matter a lot, even if they're dirty. You can freeze your coil. Freeze your coil can do all kinds of damage to HVAC. It won't work.
Yeah.
Sometimes just stalling out, but filters, depending on how thick they are, can hurt. So it's, you know, so if you're gonna send a technician, those filters can be fairly expensive.
Yeah.
Even the cheap ones now are expensive.
Yeah, and that's the feedback we kind of got from communities is as we provided DIY purifiers, people said, okay, running a purifier helps a bit, but I want to have the air throughout my home to be clean. And so that's kind of what the thinking was. But having that HVAC technician to make sure you get the right filter in your home can be really useful to make sure you have the best indoor air quality. So yeah, I will be around. And yeah, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, so as a community council, those that are getting new to what we do here, we're just basically the first step in civic engagement in trying to understand what's going on, having a say in things. You know, concerns are usually passed from us up the chain through city council, through other representatives upwards, but really it's about trying to affect change right here within our most immediate neighborhood. We as a, you know, executive board only know so much of what's going on. So we always want to leave a little bit of time open in every meeting for any concerns or questions or comments. We like to ask people to kind of limit those to 2 minutes, but the floor is actually open if anyone has any comments. Some of the highlights on here that we usually throw on our agenda just to get juices flowing, you know, population growth, homelessness, parks, open spaces, street lighting, the other side village, commissions, boards, nature preservation, housing displacement, neighborhood talent, any of those types of things. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share? And we just like to ask you to come up just so that online people can see and hear you as well, but the floor is yours.
Thanks.
And it'd be great if
I will. I'll introduce myself. My name is Cecilia Anthony, and I live on the corner of 7th South and 10th West. And I've been in the community for about 3 years. And as most of you know, there is a new street project that's going to be happening at that intersection, which I'm super excited about on a lot of levels. And it looks like a beautiful, they've really put a lot of thought and effort into the design. And Bill, you know, walked around the neighborhood and introduced himself. And I just wanted to ensure, and I don't know if that's something that I can talk to you about, but I just want to ensure that when they start the project, that there's no plans for the removal of mature trees on the city strips, and that plans get adjusted in the, you know, in favor of the tree. I've got a lot of mature trees on my property, and they're obviously good for the value of my home, but also they help, you know, beautify the neighborhood and clean the air. So that's what I wanted to say. I don't know if I need to contact Bill directly or if that's something feedback that you give.
What is this project? I'm not aware of this. That the one where they're putting the round-
Yeah, they're putting in the roundabout. Yeah.
But they can't touch your property.
Well, they're not, it's not, the trees are not on my property. They're on the strip, the park strip. Mhm. Yeah.
Well, we'll take a note of that. and-
Okay.
Well, you keep contacting. We'll make sure that we find that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Awesome. Great. Any other comments? Any concerns?
I got one.
Yeah. Come on up and before again.
That place on 5600 West just starts. Oh, I just can't get it. Actually, and I was hoping a city person would be here. There was a complaint someone else did. I didn't do it. It's on 9th West in around just across from Smith's. And now they have a couple of buildings that they're putting, it looks like there's garages. They have cars out front. And so someone complained 4 years ago and it's still there. So my question is, why is it still there? And on top of that, I spent like a year or two doing that, but I'd been in that part. I was like, that could have been fixed 6 months ago. So my question is, what is the city doing about it? Because I did talk to them and they says, well, they're ignoring us, and I can help them with this because I used to do it for a living, but now I'm, what do you call it? Oh, I'm retired. Thank you. Yeah, I'm so tired.
No, I'm screen shy, so I'll just be quick. You know, failed mail delivery in the 84104 zip code. I've done everything I possibly can. I've addressed everyone. I've gone to, you know, the mayor's representatives and stuff. I've gone up to the Capitol. I've given Angela Romero, you know, a letter. I've gone and talked to the news media people from a couple of the major news stations up at the Capitol and have had no results whatsoever, you know, from my petitions to get it corrected. I've done research on the whole thing, and we're the people getting victimized. We're the whipping boy for the whole of the city. The people on the east side have gone over there and talked to the postal people over there. One of the postal guys, I said, how's the postal living? Oh, it's going fine up here. I'm the guy that delivers on the 6th day because our postal people deliver 5 days a week. And then they got another guy over there that goes in the 6th day. I was out at the airport post office and there was a woman there who said, my boss, she spoke English with a heavy accent. She said, my boss said he sent me something and it hasn't come. And I said, we haven't got mail in our neighborhood for 4 days. That week was 5 days. This was a critical piece of information that the boss expected to have delivered to her. And before I could, I explained what was going on. And before, I wish I had, I'd explained to her, you can come and there's a box here with your mail. It hasn't been delivered. They have boxes out there, which they separate your mail and they have letters here and magazines here. And to go look for it. And it takes some time. You get new people out there because no one wants to work in our zip code area. That's our zip code, not in our area. That's where the mail people go out and do the mail from that post office. And it takes them 15 minutes because they're new people there all the time. And, it's like, they don't know what they're doing half the time. But anyway, it hasn't been, I've given up. Because I've gone to every run of influence and I wanted the mayor's people said, oh, we can't do it. That's a government thing. And I said, you're the mayor. You've got leverage. Use your leverage as a mayor. Do something. And it's just zero.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my frustration.
So for the online folks, that was a concern about the mail delivery, which I think everyone in our neighborhood that gets mail has been seen. I don't have a solution for that as well. And we'll keep trying at it again.
Everybody, I talked to those people, and I said, go to the Postmaster General here. It comes from the joy. We're taking advantage of it because we all have a lot of minority people who don't speak English. They don't know the way the system works.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're taking advantage of. If they did this on the east side, there'd be such an uproar. The mayor would be out there, oh, I'm your champion. Look at this, man. We're going to do something right. No one even knows who the Postmaster General is here. You can't get to him. He's in an ivory tower, totally insulated. I mean, this is like the ineffective nature of the people and the populace, we're just ignoring.
Yeah. So we'll try to work on ways. If you think of a way the council can help as well, like you said, you've talked to a lot of people. If anyone online knows of anything as well.
To Postmaster.
Yeah. I mean, we need to figure out something more effective. I mean, I've heard a lot of things as well about the fact that we are pulled out of a different, because anyway, I don't have a solution, but we will.
A couple of weeks ago, we received a letter in our post box that was dated from October, just a few weeks ago. It was about telling us we got our love your block rent.
Oh, from the city. So, that's a big concern. We'll keep working on that. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. Yeah.
Make some noise.
Any other public comments, concerns that we want to bring up?
I just want to say about that's just appalling. Have you tried talking to your federal representatives, because the U.S. Postal Service is a federal service, right? Have you tried to, there's a federal building downstairs that has a community complaints department.
Okay, we'll try to
follow on that.
He's the one that's created the conditions that we have here. And, it's like, he's the one at the top. And the person that's representative here is the Postmaster General, who is insulated and isolated and no one can get to him.
Well, the hope is, and I've seen this work before, I don't know if it's, the hope is that letting the people in the federal building know, they can steer it up to, I don't know who represents them. That's what here, it's Starboard Chat, Chris Stewart, and then Chris Stewart's office would make some calls. That's the hope, and I've seen that.
Yeah, maybe we'll, as a community council, we'll try to get the word. I mean, a big part is getting more people to complain. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is getting enough of popular. And that's again, why a lot of times we don't get a lot of attention, because it's usually like the people in this room are the ones that are complaining. And so we need to try to get more of that, but making it easier. So we'll as a council take that under advisement in terms of trying to get the right contacts and get that out to you as well. I'm not sure if we'll have that in place for the recap for this meeting, but at the very least, hopefully by the recap for the next one. Jason, do you want to please come take the floor?
Complaining is what I do best. Yeah, a long time ago, Andrew, when he was chair, he told me that, yeah, a lot of the city stuff is based on complaint. So I kind of polled people who worked in the city. I polled the streets folks. I polled the parks department. Anybody on, who's on the ground, who's doing the work. I went and I just asked them. I see them in the park. I just go over the park and I say, "Oh, I see how often you guys are here. How often are you guys working on other parts of town? I mean, where do you spend a lot of your time?" And it's always on the other side of town.
Of course.
Everyone says, yes, unfortunately, we spend most of our time over there, and it's not fairly distributed that way. And a lot of that, I mean, streets folks would say to me that people will complain about just leaves in the gutter, right? I mean, they'll get a call about anything. And on this side of town, we're just so used to having it so that nobody says anything. And I think that's a lot of it. And it sounds like such a rude thing to do, right? To just call and say, "Hey, fix this, fix this, fix this." But that's the only way. That is the only way to do it here. So it doesn't have to be mean and rude. And I have been, I am very, okay, I get in their faces, but it doesn't have to be that, but it does have to be consistent and by as many people as possible. And sharing those numbers might be a really good way to do, to say, hey, just call them and complain, because that is the only way. That is the only way to get anything done. So there was, the camps are building up now, and I've really been too busy to complain. But last winter, the camp that showed up in the 9th South Park got so big, and it took a lot. It took a lot of browbeating to get that taken care of. And then after they cleaned it up, I went out there and I said, it's not clean enough. So I called more and I said, I want to see people out there raking up the little giblets of trash. I want that to be safe for ducks. We're not going to leave it like this. This is not good enough. And they did. They went back out and they raked it all up with, they went over it with a fine tooth comb.
Fire there.
Yeah.
It was
Oh, yeah.
the bridge almost burned down.
Yeah, right. And it's things like that too that kind of get overlooked. Like the bridge hasn't been fixed yet.
Yeah.
Why not? You allowed that to happen. You let them be there, and that was the effect. So we should probably clean that up and fix it. It costs money. Well, you should have thought of that before you let them stay there. So the complaining is the thing. So I think we should have always posted if it's streets, and then understanding these everything is delegated to different groups of people. So engineers versus, the arborists, there's the tree department, and the tree department stuff is really cool because you go to their map, you can look at any block anywhere and it'll tell you what that tree is, when it was planted there, anything that's on city property. It's really cool, actually. So when you start to look into all of these elements, you start to find out that it's actually, some things are very organized, but getting
those numbers in front of everybody, so they're just accessible and easy to do. So when you're doing it, when you see the problem, you can just get on top of it. I think that's something we should do.
We just wanted to mention, one of the great resources is the SLC app. If you're not familiar with that, the city has an application. Just look, check the App Store, Google Play.
Is that the one that you can put a complaint?
Yeah, so-
What's the follow-up on that?
Yeah. So I got involved with a lot of this. I ran for city council a couple of years ago, just for all kinds of reasons. But one of the things that I was saying was that it doesn't matter who you elect into any position. If you don't care, your neighbors don't care, nothing's going to change. So we're excited for some of the messages that have come out today in terms of, complain, and also complain to the right people, right? My wife doesn't want to hear my complaints. I need to complain to someone that can actually do something about the potholes or the broken lights or or whatever issues that you're seeing. And we will try to make that a little more apparent on the council website. We might be updating some of that as well. Right now, we're still loaded on a Weebly site because it's free, and that's economically sound practice for a small organization. So if you just Google Poplar Grove Community Council, you'll usually find our website. But we'll try to make some updates on that, and I think it's a great idea to try to include a lot of the contact info directly. But locally, the app is one of the best ways to get things addressed. If you see something broken, they have it where you can take a picture and tell them where it's at and make it really easy to do that. And then get all your friends to complain as well. Because again, that's a big part, is the numbers. When one person complains about a thing, that's not a big deal. But if the whole street is complaining, that's more likely to get a little attention. Awesome. Well, we don't want to go any longer than we need to, but we also don't want to cut anyone off. Is there any other public comments that we want to?
Approving the growth, September 30th.
So we want to plant the seed. So this neighborhood has an annual festival party celebration called Groove in the Grove, because we're Poplar Grove, and that sounds really cool. And it's sort of morphed through the years how the event is done. And last year we did it. We're going to do it similar this year. So it'll be the 30th.
Saturday, September 30th.
Saturday, September 30th. It'll be an event going from 11 a.m. to about 3 p.m. It'll be held out in front of the police precinct. We close off the street and we just have a big neighborhood celebration. So I know it's a ways out, but we want to get those juices flowing in terms of both in terms of supporting by coming, but also in terms of supporting, even if you're not interested in being on the board, that's one of our big events of the year, and we can always use some extra hands, or whether at the event or in planning aspects of that. So feel free to reach out as well. And with that, I think we're. Oh. Yeah, online, we did, you want to, so we did have one other thing from the fire department, right? Actually, I don't.
Something Chad said, right?
Yes. The fire department is nice to me. They have our newsletter, also sent out.
Add that to my list of things to email to all of you. Yeah, you can sign up for it. Let's see, I just want to see if they have a link to the bottom, at the bottom where you can sign up. Well, we'll see. But yeah, we'll make sure to send out the fire department's newsletter. Do you want to read anything off of that?
Well, we'll send that out if you want any updates of the fire
I
department.
don't want to read the.
Keeping us safe. That's great. Awesome.
When does planning start for Groove in the Grove?
It's already started.
It's already started.
Planning for Groove in the Grove has already begun. Some of the rough plans in terms of, the date and the time and some of the general things that we want to have. I mean, those are the first things you have to do when you plan, right? But we've talked about some of the events that we'd like to have as part of that, but we are open up to new ideas. And
That confirmed right now is the Staker Parsons sand truck is going to come again.
okay,
That's nice.
so play track. Okay, we'll put that on our docket. The suggestion for an adult jumpy castle. Well, any bounce house is an adult one when adults get inside. So Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you, everybody, for coming out. I mean, feel free to mingle if you have more questions or concerns, but we'll end the official meeting. I always love ending things early, better than running long, but we'll see how next month goes. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all. Stop. Oh my gosh, am I still recording? Stop.
I didn't catch your name.